Good morning. I'd like to call the meeting of Kane County Transportation Committee meeting on June 18th, 2024 to order, it being 9 o'clock. At this time, we'll do roll call. Berman. Iqbal.
Present.
Caius.
Vice President.
Leonard here.
Roth.
Roth here.
Ford.
Deppie here.
Doherty.
Doherty here.
Davis. You have an in-person quorum. At this time, I'd like to take nominations for a pro temp chairman. Mr. Berman, your nomination for pro temp chairman, please.
All right.
Sounds like a
Leonard. Leonard. Mr. Leonard.
Thank you. Iqbal. For Mr. Leonard.
I nominate Mr.
Okay, thank you. Caius.
To the vote, I vote yes. I help nominate whatever it takes.
All right. Leonard.
Yes.
Roth.
Yes for Leonard.
All right. And Doherty.
Doherty, yes.
All right, Mr. Leonard.
I can have my chair back now?
You can't move it once the meeting starts.
Now you're gonna see how to really run things. I've seen him run meetings. Well, but I'm not a spring chicken here. I know what's going on. Why do you think
Thank you, Savannah. Appreciate it. The first thing we're going to do is ask for approval for remote attendance for Mr. Davis and Mr. Doherty. Is there any objection? Seeing none, they are approved to attend and vote. I need a motion and a second for the approval of the minutes of May 21st, 2024.
Mr. Chairman, this is Caius. I would ask for unanimous consent for the approval of minutes from May 21st.
Very good.
2024.
Any dissents at all? Seeing none, the minutes are approved. Anyone here for public comment? See no one for the agenda items or non-agenda items. Let's move to finance and Mr. Justin Van Voorn.
Good morning. Thank you. The finance reports are in your packet for May 2024. If there's any questions, I can answer those.
Any questions for anyone?
Doherty.
Mr. Doherty, go ahead.
Yeah. You know, you look at the bills and it says Amazon bill, $10, Amazon bill, $20. Well, you know, it would really be helpful if you could tell us what the Amazon's bills are, since there's several dozen of them in the budget.
So,
I mean, we're approving it, but I'd like to know a little bit more about what I'm approving.
way the reports, those reports are printed out by finance. And the way those reports are printed out, they do not include the detailed information. We can get that for you if you would like. I would have to talk to the finance department in order to do so.
All right, let's check and see if, I don't want to spend hours on it, but if it's a half an hour, 15-minute fix, I'd really appreciate it.
Sure. I will talk to Director of Finance.
Thank you.
And provide that in the future.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move ahead to the KDOT fiscal year 2025 goals and objectives. Before Mr. Rickert gives his report, I would just like to say we all received a one-page summary of that. If possible today, I'd like to keep our discussion on this to maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Everyone can review it over the next month, and at the next meeting, I think we could make recommendations on any changes, additions, or deletions. Tom?
Yes, just to real briefly go over the one-page document. One of the things that we were asked to do, and all the committees are doing this, where they're looking at their FY 2025 goals and objectives. The first thing was the committee goal, and the committee goal in discussion with Chair Davis, we primarily focused on the to reasonably progress public safety, system maintenance, existing transportation services and programs, and capital projects as adopted by the county board with existing human and fund resources. We're talking about the existing human and fund resources because during the budget cycle, we're always talking about whether or not there is the appropriate staffing as well as the various fund resources and potential of those funds being utilized for other purposes. And it's very important for us when you look at the capital projects that are listed there, the 85% of our budget is our transportation projects, our capital projects. A lot of those projects already have obligated funds. If you look at the funds that we have in the bank account, as you might say, close to 80% of those funds are already obligated for ongoing projects, as well as when you look at federal and state grants and projects, we are looking out 5 years sometimes where we already have obligations underway where say we received like recently a $25 million grant, but we also have to match those funds. And so we have funds set aside for that future matching in 2 to 3 years. So it's very important that we retain those funds. Otherwise, it could impact our grants. The projects that are listed there, Long Meadow's on there, you know, our aspiration or what will actually happen this fall is we're going to open up Long Meadow. So maybe this is more an FY 2024, but it is something that will continue to finalize some different type of like landscaping, that kind of stuff in FY 2025. So we just put it on there. We are still working on the toll elimination. It appears that eventually here soon we'll receive the first $17.5 million. And then next year towards latter part of the year, we'll receive the final $12.5 million. So there are aspects of Long Meadow that are ongoing. Safety projects are very important. There's some listed there. Preservation projects, bridges, we are constantly working on bridges on an annual average. We're anywhere from $11 to $14 million typically on bridge maintenance and rehab and replacement. Modernization, this is the continued improvement of our signal system. Man, I can't even remember how many signals we had when I first started with the county, but it was less than 10. 4, Steve says. I think he's joking with me, but it wasn't many. And now we have 120. I mean, we have about 120 some signals. And so modernization is very important. Pedestrian bicycle enhancements, multimodal aspects, very important. Expansion projects, we continue to move forward with a lot of different projects. As I mentioned earlier, the Randall and Hops intersection, we received 25 million, as well as we've received some other smaller grants for a number of intersections along Randall Road. And so we continue to do these expansion projects. We're currently finishing up this year, the Doberman Extension Project, as well as next year, we will let later on this fall, the Bunker Extension from Kesslinger to LaFox. And then planning and programming efforts, very important in the whole capital program. Our efforts with CMAP, our efforts with the Kane Kendall Council of Mayors, our efforts going after grants, a lot of different projects that Jackie Forbes and her team are involved in to ensure that we are doing appropriate planning and that we're receiving the funds that we need to move projects forward. Our safety efforts, I talked a little bit about that last month, so I'm not going to get into detail, but we do a lot of things out there to ensure the safety of the motoring public, including anti-icing and such, and the implementation of traffic control and other safety enhancements. Personal mobility, we continue to grow and expand the Ride and Cane program. We also look at complete streets, making sure that our streets are safe for all users. And then asset management, this is something that we received a large grant from the state of Illinois, and we're going to be moving forward in really honing in on all of our various assets and where we need to be going. We do have some environmental aspects. We're in year 3 of 3 years on the LED street lighting effort that we've been doing. And then we're also needing to develop SOPs, standard operating procedures for a lot of our assets. And then primary staffing goals, develop our next generation, fill vacancies, address organizational needs, and then enhance customer services in writing cane, impact fees, permitting, et cetera. So that's the overview. And again, as the chair mentioned, this is a draft.
Any questions for Mr. Rickert? Mr. Kais?
All important stuff too. Are we gonna be able to get that down to 2 sentences? I think that was the request.
For the committee goal or all the goals and objectives? I mean, the 2 sentences is the committee goal at the top.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So my apologies.
That's 1 sentence.
Well,
They
good.
even abbreviated it more.
I get
I
it.
overachieved.
I get it. So that's the index then. This all is, fits into. We got her.
Yeah, and there's quite a bit on this to review. So I think if we all go over this by the next meeting, if we have any questions or concerns, we can go over that then. And Mr. Doherty, you have a question?
Oh, you don't want questions this month?
Pardon me, sir?
Are you saying you don't want questions this month?
Well, you can ask a question if you want. I just wanted to keep it kind of brief today because there's a lot to go over on this report. I don't
Oh,
think we
okay.
have enough time, one meeting.
Yeah, I just want to ask how we're doing on the bridges. I mean, are we keeping up with quality? Are quality ratings on our bridges all good, or?
I'll let Mike Sikozik answer that question.
We are keeping up. I think it's fair to say we're keeping up.
Okay, all right. So does that mean we don't need more money for bridges? I mean,
No,
potholes are a pain, but collapsing bridges are a nightmare.
right. No, we'll continue to need additional funds for bridges because we're taking on more and more complicated structures like Long Meadow Parkway. We're going to go out there and open it in the fall, but it's
Okay.
already 2 years old.
Shit.
So 10 years, you'll be looking to do some maintenance work on that, for instance. And so as our system grows, we add lanes and things like that, our bridges will continually need more work.
Thank you.
Mr. Rickert?
Yeah, I was just going to add a couple things to that. I mean, we're required by federal law to do inspections on a annual or biannual basis. And those are ongoing, and our structures, as Mike said, are in fairly decent shape. We are currently right now trying to find a bridge engineer to come in on staff and to enhance our ability over the next 5 years of programming. So there's efforts that we are currently moving forward on.
I just want to add that our bridges are in fairly good shape because of the commitment that the committee and the county board has made over the past decades to spend money on maintenance. We wouldn't be here if we hadn't done a lot of maintenance along the way.
Any other questions? If not, Mr. Rickert, I think you have a resolution to present.
Yeah, the resolution that is before you is a result of discussions that have occurred over the last 2 months. Those discussions have focused along the lines of making sure that we have the ability to retain the staffing needs that we have. And we went over 7 positions last month. One of those positions, the county board just recently adopted the approval of making that position a maintenance position. So we've actually posted that, and hopefully in the next 2 months, we'll have a maintainer on board. The other position is a planner, and we have an individual that has accepted the bicycle pedestrian manager planning position. That person is also a regional planning liaison and will be working on a lot of CMAP projects. And then the last 5 positions were for the engineering positions. And I went into pretty significant detail relative to where we're at with those positions. And the issues relative to salaries. Based upon the committee's direction last month, we did repost all of the positions, including an increase in the salary range slightly in order to see if that could at least be helpful in moving things forward. And then per the direction of the committee, we also looked at the various grading aspects of the professional engineers. So when you look at the overall positions that are part of this resolution, these positions are focused on civil engineering 3 through civil engineering 6 positions. The first 2 civil engineering positions, 1 and 2, those are typically engineering graduates from college that either have not taken their fundamental exam and they're not in EIT yet, or they're in engineering and training and they're not a professional engineer yet. We evaluated those positions. We feel like at least at this point in time that they are adequate. The engineering positions that are not adequate are the professional engineering positions that are listed in the resolution. And again, that's a CE, the civil engineering 3 through the civil engineering 6. What we did is utilizing the salary range and grading system that was adopted by the county board back in December of 2023. We stuck with that same grading system, and what we did is we adjusted the professional engineering positions up 1 grade. That's equivalent to about a 5% salary range increase. What it will do is it will give us an opportunity to offer up to, from the director's ability to offer up to $122,000 approximately in the salary range. This may not be enough, but we really wanted to focus on utilizing the grading system the county board adopted in December, and we wanted to focus on an incremental evaluation. And so this is a 5%, approximately a 5% increase in the salary range, and utilizes again the existing grading scale. There's also language within the resolution that allows the director to do equity adjustments. Say we hire an engineer that has less time as a professional engineer than their supervisor. And all of a sudden, the new engineer is making more than their supervisor. This also allows the director to also adjust salaries appropriately in order to make sure that there's equity when an engineer is overseeing somebody that was just recently hired. So a lot of flexibility, but the resolution also creates restrictions and limitations to our department in order to do our best to try to utilize what was adopted by the county board, again, only 6 months ago. Hopefully this will at least attract some individuals. It may be that we still have an issue with finding engineers to come in and work. There's 2 aspects of that. We continue to hire consultants to assist us. As I mentioned last month, we actually pay the consultants 2 to 3 times more than our own staff. So it does save the county money if we can bring staff on board to assist us in this area. So staff is recommending approval of this. It does have to go through Human Resources Committee and Finance Committee and Executive Committee before the county board looks at it. And because of that, the timing will require that the county board approve it in August. And so that's all mentioned within the resolution as well as the executive summary. So a little bit of delay, but again, we're trying to honor those policies that were adopted by the county board back in December. Staff recommends approval.
I need a motion and a second to discuss and possibly approve this. Dr. Iqbal moves.
Roth will second.
Mr. Roth will second. Any discussion, questions on that? Dr. Iqbal?
Mr. Chairman, this resolution is only for the new hires. This is how it reads. How about retention part? We have employees who should be upgraded accordingly.
Yes, and it does deal with that too. I'm trying to remember exactly the wording in the resolution, but there are words in there that, yeah, like the last now therefore, it says that the county board authorizes KDOT to make pay adjustments greater than the 5% limit established in the compensation and position management policy for salary adjustments associated with the new hires and for promotions, provided that such adjustments do not exceed the third quartile, 75% maximum salary range for the position. So we try to create that flexibility to ensure that with some of our positions, we can deal with retention as well as deal with management aspects. So there is the promotion, maybe there was a better way of wording it, but there is a promotional aspect too, if that's appropriate.
I see. Thank you.
Vern, Mr. Tuppy, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to understand what the financial impact of this is actually going to be. This is the kind of thing that is going to really challenge us at budget time associated with it. So you said you're talking about a 5% increase, but a 5% increase of what? And I don't want to put you on the spot associated with it, because, you know, this is the challenge that we're going to be faced throughout the organization. But, you know, the 5% translated into some amount of dollars is something that I think we should take a look at.
Well, our commitment has always been to the county board that we would remain within the budgeted amount. And so that's still our commitment, that we would make sure whatever we're doing is within that appropriated or approved budget amount from the county board. In the long run, once we get all of these positions filled, we anticipate a significant hundreds of thousands of dollars of savings, because as it stands right now, a lot of these positions, not all of it, because we have stopped and slowed different aspects of our programs because we don't have the staffing for it. But a lot of these positions, we have also started to put consultants in place, and those costs for consultants, I think currently Mike and I were looking at some of those costs, and we were looking at about $700,000 to $800,000 worth of consultant work that used to be handled internally. And so it's a significant savings. When you look at it entirely, if we were to move forward with our bridge program appropriately, or some of the safety program aspects that we used to do, those are things that in total would cost almost $1.5 million. And again, some of them we have slowed or stopped until we can get staff on board, but some of it we've also had to keep moving forward, and we've turned it over to consultants to do at a cost around $700,000, $800,000 currently. So we anticipate a pretty significant savings if we can get staff on board.
Mr. Tuppy?
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. My question, though, related to what is the dollar amount? And that's something that I don't necessarily say you have to tie you down to do it today, but I would like to see some dollar figures associated with this, because we're talking about salary increases in this whole area. And if you do have specific savings and you can come up and say, these are existing consultants that we will be removing that you're currently paying, that would be a great offset. I'd love to see both of those. So I look forward to seeing that in, let's say, perhaps the HR committee, which would probably be your next stop.
Yeah, I can look at trying to create something like that. The difficulty is that when you're looking at the range of salaries for these positions, and depending on the skills and the professional development of an individual, the salary ranges are as great as $50,000 per individual, from more of a younger professional engineer versus somebody that has 20 years of experience, as well as a lot more educational experience. We're always hopeful that we can get a more skilled individual, but sometimes you also have some of the more entry-level professional engineering positions. So a lot of it will be an estimate, And I can get some numbers. It's just, but it is an estimate. It's not gonna be, it's probably gonna be around plus or minus, and I'm just throwing out a number here, but maybe plus or minus 20-30%.
And Mr. Rickard, if you could maybe by the Human Services Committee meeting, have some general summary put together for everyone to look at, I think that would be helpful. As Mr. Tepe recommended.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. And I can actually, some of the information I gave last month, I can pull that back and provide that in a little bit more detail.
Okay, great. Any other questions? Mr. Doherty?
Thank you. Tom, I came from the recruiting world. Have you hired a recruiter to fill these positions? I know sometimes in big corporations, HR gets in the way and say, we can handle it. We don't need to hire anybody. That's not necessarily the case. Have you looked into engineering recruiting firms?
At this point, we have not. We've gone to a number of professional organizations, as well as I've spoken with the executive director of HR, and she has offered to look at maybe ways of expanding our outreach. Currently, we are primarily been focused on professional sites, different groups like APWA, ISPE, different regional professional groups. But recruitment might be a way that we have to move in the future in order to address this.
Well, I'd really like to see it because, like you said, it's costing 2 to 3 times to hire a consultant to do the same job we could do in-house. So it seems like it would be worth paying somebody to find you someone to fill a slot.
That's a good comment.
Good point. Mr. Caius?
Yeah. Could you give us also, when you're doing your figures, a little bit of history on some of those? I think it would be informative and help the cause of the direction we're going to go in this thing. If you could say, well, we had this three engineers and we're paying them this much. And now, I mean, these are exact figures. We're paying these guys exactly this to do this. And now we've got a consultant doing that and it's X, Y, or Z, whatever that is, which is ostensibly more than what the engineers cost to hire.
Yeah, and part of that was given last month where I actually talked about the salary ranges as well as the consulting costs. What I'll do is put it out in a little bit more detail. I've got the slides that I can resend out as well as dig into it a little bit deeper. So.
Any other questions? If not, I'd like to call the vote.
Berman,
Yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Doherty.
Sorry, yes.
Passes.
Okay, that passes. We'll move on to maintenance. Mr. Zukozik.
You have the maintenance report in your packet. We've moved into the summertime routine. The first round of mowing is complete. And if you're down in the Aurora area, you'll probably see our staff working on the storm sewer structures on Orchard Road. And we're just back to doing like the ditching projects and street sweeping. So if anybody has any questions, we can answer them.
Any questions? If not, I think you have a resolution to present.
Sure. For the Adopt a Highway, this month, we have 2 new applicants and 2 renewals. They're listed in your packet. If you have any questions, let me know. Staff recommends approval of these 4 organizations.
I need a motion.
Caius will make a motion.
Mr. Caius, second.
Roth will second.
Any discussion, questions, concerns? If not, we'll call the vote.
Berman,
Yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Doherty.
Sorry, yes.
Passes.
Okay, the resolution passes. We'll move on to planning and programming. Jackie Forbes. Excuse me, Jackie, didn't mean to rush you.
It's okay. Had to get the advance. Let me move on to the report. There we go. So today I wanted to give you an update on our safety action plan. Our first steering committee meeting is coming up on June 26th. We have a good cross-section of people who are on the committee, and we're going to, at that meeting, talk to them a little bit about some of the crash data analysis that's happened, give them an overview of what the safety action plan is going to be, and of course, a timeline of how long we think this is going to take. We were excited to hear from our consulting team that they had come out to Kane County, I think it was last week. They identified 40 different places they wanted to go see in the county, some crash locations to take pictures and really dig in deeper to see what's going on, being able to see that visually. So we're pretty excited about that. Ride and Cane have our update for the month, 112 riders. We do have a new sponsor coming on, Rutland Township. They are ironing out the parameters for their riders right now, and we anticipate them starting in early July. So it's exciting to have them. And finally, the Kane County Impact Fee Program, it is turning 20 years old this year. So I have the Impact Fee Program Manager, Lisa Larson, here today. Some of you may know her, and we are going to give you a quick overview of the program and just to talk a little bit about the last 20 years and what's been happening. So we've got a little celebration. Sorry, no cake. You'll have to use your imagination, but we are looking at 20 years of our program. She and I will just go through these slides and give you a quick overview of everything. So I'll turn it over to Lisa on the first slide.
Good morning and thank you. The Kane County Impact Fee Program operates in accordance with.
I'm sorry, Lisa, could you get closer to your microphone?
Right.
Maybe, or make sure it's on.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, so the Kane County Impact Fee Program operates in accordance with the Road Improvement Impact Fee Law of the state of Illinois. The state statute allows for collection of roadway impact fees by county. Both residential and commercial development pays the fee. The fees are based on the proposed use of the project. It includes new development and redevelopment, with some exceptions such as schools, affordable housing, and government buildings. The ordinance provides the methodology used to calculate the fees, but also provides a way to reduce the fees. And one of those ways is a suite of discounts. We have a skilled manufacturing job creation discount that is for businesses that employ highly trained, educated, or experienced employees. They can get up to 20% depending on the number of jobs created. We also have a downtown development discount. New development that is located in a downtown area must be located on a redevelopment or infill site. That is eligible for a 20% discount. New development may earn up to 20% of a discount by encouraging the use of alternate transportation modes, such as being in close proximity to transit stops. We also offer high density residential discount, depending on how many residential units there are per acre. Since 2004, we have collected over $54 million. As you can see in the graph, it shows you how much revenue was collected in each year. Some of those years, for example, 2009 through 2013 are on the lower side. That reflects the recession. Then you can also see 2020 was pretty low too. That was from the pandemic or COVID.
I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the projects that we have funded. Obviously, we collect these fees. The statute says that we have to use those fees and roadways in the areas where they were collected on capacity improvements. So I did some research because neither Lisa and I were around when this program started to see what were some of the projects that we have used our impact fee program funding on. So this is a listing of various projects that, this is not all of them. This is just a sample of some of the projects where we've put this money. Something else I wanted to mention regarding the fees, the developers also can do improvements on their own. They can make capacity improvements out front of wherever their development is going to be. And we offer them credits for that. It's to our advantage because it really helps on the administrative side. We do not have to go out and select a consultant, select the construction firm through a bidding process, manage that whole side of the project. They actually take care of all that on their own. And then we give them credit for that development that they put in. A couple of examples of that up in near Randall and Bowes Road, when the Sam's Club and the Walmart went in, we did quite a bit of work there. They received some impact fee credits for that. And then also the Algonquin Business Park, that's a more recent one up at Randall near Long Meadow Parkway. They also put in some capacity improvements and received so two ways that money, and also we can give them discounts when they do the work for us.
Some goals for the program. We're working along with municipalities, asking for them to work with us as far as trying to secure the impact fee before they issue permits. So to tell them about the fee in the development stage so that the developer can make provisions to make sure that that's in their budget. We also are scheduling meetings with them, providing materials, and also we do FOIA them so that we can get a list of all their permits to make sure that we're collecting all the fees. We also work with the state's attorney's office to escalate when necessary. And that's pretty much it. So our required update is in 2027.
That's all we have about the impact fee program. I do want to thank Lisa for all of her hard work. She really is the one who fields all the questions. She handles the applications. She provides the information about discounts. She also works with the municipality. She is really the one who takes care of all of this work. You hear me talk about the program, but she's really the one behind the scenes doing all of it. So thanks, Lisa.
Oh, thank you, Jackie.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Roth?
One question. What does it look like for 24? You know, on the graph, it looked like 23 was the second highest ever.
This year, and I've noticed some of those years that were higher too, there's different things that impact the impact fee program. One of them obviously is the economy. So interest rates. When the interest rates were low, we had a lot more business. We also, and I forgot to mention this, another reason why we collect different revenues, higher or lower, is because of the actual impact fee itself. We've actually lowered the impact fee considerably in 2022. Another reason for 2024, I think, will be lower because the impact or the interest rates are high, but it also depends what types of commercial and residential developments are necessary for the county. And right now we're seeing a change from single family to more townhomes, build to rent, those types of things. So we'll see.
Okay, thank you.
Caius?
Oh, yeah. And so if they do more townhomes, there's less impact on the road. So there's less, it's a lower fee, right? And
It is,
it looks like a
yeah.
lot of money, but of course, 54 million sounds like a lot and we're not discounting it, but it's a really small part of the entire construction that's gone on and the amount we spent on roads and improvements for the last 20 years.
20 years.
Right, 20 years, yes. And the other question I had, if I could, Mr.
Go right
Chairman,
ahead.
was to go back to the Kane County Safety Action Plan. Sometimes I have to kind of digest some of this. This is all of our county-wide, Jackie, we're reviewing intersection, things like that.
Yeah.
Does it include 31 and Miller, which is now
Yeah, they've
township
They've
and
looked at everything. They're looking at all the roadways. So beyond just county highways, because it will be a plan that any of the municipalities can use. IDA could look at it as well. So I'm certain that that would have been something that they looked at. They have some preliminary heat maps that show high density areas with high concentration areas of crashes, but they're also looking at entire corridors and looking for patterns as well. So you might see some data that's not just the number of crashes, but the types of crashes that we're seeing. So they're still getting more granular in that data analysis, but at that steering committee meeting, once we have those slides and maps, and I can share them with everyone here.
I know we've gotten some input from residents in that area, which is pretty
Yeah.
close to me.
Yeah, they are planning 3 different public outreach meetings throughout this process. We are looking to do one in the summer and try and coordinate it with some sort of festival where people already are. And at the steering committee meeting, we're going to ask the members if they have anything coming up that they would recommend. Then we'll try and target those festivals. But yeah, we'll definitely get input from people.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Rickert?
In regards to impact fees, Jackie and Lisa mentioned that in 2027, we have to have a new impact fee update that's adopted by the county board. That's a 2-year process. So our FY 2025 budget includes that update. We'll be starting that, as well as the impact fee advisory committee only meets about annually when in the off years, but during the development, they start meeting much regularly. And so I just wanted to mention the advisory committee will be activated again. I believe that, Bill, I believe that you've been on that in the past. Dale Berman's been on it for 20 years. He helped develop the impact fee ordinance and program. And as a mayor, as well as a county board member, he's been on the committee. So thank you for your service in the past. There might be other people here that's on that committee, but I just wanted to say thank you, especially for Dale for more than 20 years worth of service.
Any other questions for Jackie or Lisa? Dr. Iqbal?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, first of all, she mentioned about the violators. It looks like this fee is not connected with the building permit. Is that correct?
How it's connected to the permit, it is.
Why would there be a violator if there's a building permit issued?
What's happening is that the municipalities are not holding that building permit. They're not honoring agreements. Yeah, we're trying. So we are meeting with the municipalities one-on-one to remind them that we need them to hold that permit. We're also looking to create a new intergovernmental agreement with the municipalities where we perhaps have some stronger language in there that they will hold those building permits until they pay those fees. There are communities that follow the rules, as we say, and we don't have issues. There are other ones that don't, and we've been trying some other methods to get them to hold those permits, but we have not been 100% successful. Tom, if you want to add.
Yeah, I was just going to add a little bit in regards to over the years, staffing changes. And so communities, I think majority of the communities are assisting us with the program, as well as it's their legal obligation to be part of that process. And so we work closely, but there are some that we have to figure out how to better enhance their involvement in it. Sometimes we've been utilizing our permitting process on our county highways to say, hey, come on, let's look at enhancing our efforts here and be partners in the process. I know that we've been working with the state's attorney's office to figure out ways, and we'll probably have some additional answers for you in that regard in the near future.
Yes, Dr.
Yeah,
Iqbal, go
second.
ahead.
Second thing is we are looking at the income part, the revenue part, but there's an expense part which people don't see. And the question I get is why there is an impact fee. We should encourage the developers to come in without any impact fee. If we could present the improvement part along with the revenues, I think it will go a little better to with the municipalities.
Good point.
Would you like to see the amount that we spend on each project? Would that be helpful? Each year? What we've collected in a year and exactly where it has gone? Because we can do that. You're right, we don't present it that
I
way.
would say yes.
Sure.
Okay, we can do that.
One other question. You mentioned we reduced the impact fee in 22, or what was the reasoning behind that? Just we were overcharging, or was it we were being too nice?
Well, we already give a 50% discount across the board on the impact fees. It has to do, when we do that update, we hire a consultant, they do the modeling, they're looking at the Institute of Traffic Engineers manual, ITE manual, at land uses and what types of trips. It's all based on the trips. So if a certain type of land use doesn't generate as many trips as they did perhaps 5 years ago, then that rate might go down. It also is the cost of doing the improvements that are identified. We do the Comprehensive Road Improvement Program, or the CRIP, is generated as part of this, and we come up with expenses that way. So if things were costing less, it could go down. I don't know, Tom, if you want to add anything about how those change year. I've only gone through one update, so.
Yeah, I think that, I don't know, part of this, we probably can educate more and not spend a lot of time this morning, and as well as I'm more than willing to meet one-on-one and kind of take you through our process there. You know, we do try to make it enticing. We are trying our best to make sure that the communities know the benefits that they're receiving, because it's not like there's a lot of money collected. When you look at $2 to $5 million a year, that's not even enough money to do one intersection project. So for the whole county, we're collecting enough to almost do one intersection project. So we need to maybe show a little bit more, like on our website, some of the benefits and the projects that the communities are receiving, because there are a number where we wouldn't even be able to do those projects if not for these additional revenues coming in.
Anything else? Yes, Mr. Geis.
Just from my perspective, I was involved in that redo of the impact fee, which eventually lowered it. I think before that, we were going on some, to set the fees, we were using some antiquated data and antiquated information that was sort of like, well, let's do it this way, maybe this way. And you got a hold of this engineering study that showed pretty clearly that maybe we were overcharging in one area or undercharging in another. And so in order to be fair about it, to actually, that's the idea of the impact fee, is you're going to use the roads for this, you need to pay just a little bit more to help us out. We were able to use that and then tailor it to the specific uses. And overall, it lowered it, but I think that's a fairer assessment of what the businesses are paying, developers are paying. So I think it was a good thing. I think we
Yeah,
still need more. But
I think you have to find that balance between still attracting businesses here and people who want to come and build in Kane County. We know it's a great place to be. We also don't want to charge too much. I will mention the skilled manufacturing discount, that jobs that Lisa talked about. That was new when we did the impact fee update, because we recognize we want to attract businesses. So let's give them a discount if they're bringing in these certain types of jobs. So we are listening, and that was based on input we had heard during that update. So we're trying to make those little changes, whether it's to the fees themselves or our discount program, to find that balance.
All right, thank you.
Anything else? If not, Jackie and Lisa, thank you very much for the presentation. We appreciate it. We'll move on to permitting. Doris Sohertz.
Hello. Our permitting packet report was in your packet. On the board is an executive summary. If you have any questions, try to answer those.
Any questions?
Seeing no questions, we'll move on to traffic operations.
Good morning. Yep. So the traffic operations report, our specific work activities are outlined there. So you can see all the things we're doing to keep our signals and lighting systems in good working order. I might just call out one particular entry there, and that's the Fabian and Winmouth traffic signal. That's a new one coming in. It's at the edge of Batavia and Geneva. It's an interim span wire signal. So Tom mentioned earlier our increasing number of traffic signals over the years. There's one more coming online next week. We're going to get power to that location from ComEd, so we'll be able to activate that. Any questions about any of the other entries? Let
And that was where? Fabian and
Wentworth, right?
Wentworth. Okay.
And there's a need there. I drive out that way a lot, to go to the museum I belong to. And there's a lot of potential accidents. I see a lot. So that's a good move on our part.
It's something we wanted to do to get that signal in place, as well as we're working on a permanent signal design there with turn lanes, widening for pavement. But the interim signal gets it in place sooner. rather
Is there
than-
vision that we'd rather have roundabouts? I know they cost a lot more. But,
We're not looking at roundabouts at that location. Kirk.
okay.
Pretty sure we got.
For the alternatives analysis previous, yeah.
Pretty sure we evaluated roundabouts as we do it at
Okay.
all locations where.
I
we
may
consider-
set up a meeting offline to learn more about that.
Fair enough.
Other questions for Mr. Nika? If not, thank you very much. I'm moving on to project implementation. Jennifer O'Connell.
Good morning. Our design section's pretty busy this summer with RFIs coming in on our multiple construction projects. Mike Zakozik's project of Randall over 90 has some public meetings coming up in August. I'll give you more detailed information about that at the committee next month. And ComEd, I also want to mention ComEd will begin relocations this month at the Bunker Road Extension project as we prepare for our letting later this fall on that one. That's all I have for the design section updates. I'm going to move on to construction photos. Slide 1 here shows crews working on site grading and storm sewer installation at the Long Meadow Parkway C2B contract. Here we have photos at the Doberman Road Extension project. We're continuing to work on bridge deck construction and drainage. And here we have work going on at one of our Plank Road safety project segments. Crews here are installing storm sewer in advance of the shoulder widening that will occur on this segment of Plank Road. And we've also begun work at the Fabian at Western intersection project where we're breaking out those old cracked concrete panels and we'll be resurfacing that intersection with asphalt.
Any questions on these slides? If not, Ms. O'Connell, I believe you have 2 resolutions to bring forward.
That's right. Mr. Caius, did you raise your
Yeah,
hand?
but just, I was there by Long Meadow just yesterday and there's like, they got concrete
Yeah, they're
sewers, man.
That's a good thing.
It's a little
they're
strip
moving along.
left. I'd be happy to show you my picture on my phone.
Yeah,
It looks
I'd
making
love to see it.
tremendous progress.
Great. Any other questions, concerns, comments? If not,
Okay, Resolution B, on May 14th, 3 bids were opened at KDOT for the 2024 countywide urethane pavement marking program, which will place modified urethane pavement markings on various roads. The lowest bid submitted did not meet the guidelines set forth in the RBO. The bid was then reviewed and is in compliance with the remaining sections of the Kane County Purchase Ordinance. Staff recommends approval of the lowest qualified bid of $790,082.30 submitted by Precision Pavement Markings.
Roth will make a motion.
moved by Mr. Ross,
Caius,
seconded by Mr. Caius. Any discussion? Mr. Caius?
Well, once again, it distresses me. We have on the RBO that we don't have we're still working on the paperwork on that, but we'll take that offline and have discussions and still massage that. It is a new program, so.
Yeah.
Still working on that. Okay, thank you.
Any other concerns, questions? If not, let's call the vote.
Berman,
Yes.
Iqbal,
Well, yes.
Caius, Leonard,
Or yes,
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Doherty.
Doherty, yes.
Passes.
resolution passes. And the second one?
Last November, bids were opened at IDOT for a project to implement safety improvements on Plank Road. The photos I just showed, Angle to Juan Road. The lowest qualified bid was submitted by Curran and is funded at 90% with federal HSIP funds. The county is covering the remaining 11% with our local funds.
Now the construction has begun. It was determined that the proposed centerline rumble strips will perform better and last longer if the entire road is resurfaced instead of just the center line. This work is in addition to the contract estimated at $220,000. Staff is currently seeking approval for federal funding participation with IDOT. It's unknown at this time if it will qualify, and due to construction scheduling and timing, staff is requesting approval of this supplement to cover the entirety of this extra cost should we not receive the additional federal funding participation.
Need a motion and a second to
Ro-
discuss and possibly approve. Dr. Iqbal moves.
Ross will
Mr. Lau
second.
Seconds. Discussion, Mr.
And
Cox.
where does that $220,000 come from?
If we were to cover it locally, where is that coming out of our budget?
Just out of it.
I'm gonna let Rickard answer that one.
We do have budgeted monies in our, I believe it's our local option funds. And so there are monies that are available to cover this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Within budget then.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? If not, please call the vote.
Berman,
Yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Doherty.
Doherty, yes.
Resolution passes. Anything else? Thank you, Ms. O'Connell.
No, thank you.
I need a motion to.
Mr. Chair, this is Caius. I would ask for unanimous consent to place the reports on file. So be it.
Looks like we've got consensus on that. Very good. Those are put on file. No need for executive session. Any new business? Mr. Roth?
I want to keep this short. The tree resolution's been coming up in energy environmental, and one of the comments I made in that we have lots of land in with transportation that we have places to put trees. I'm not saying we have money, but I think we need to start looking for grants and stuff because, I think we need to do more of the incentive where we're doing positive things instead of the stick, where we're punishing people for cutting trees down. I know there's grants available. I just read last week. Morton Arboretum has 7.9 million they're giving away to different cities to plant trees. And I don't know if you were approached by Ms. Miller when she was working on that.
Ben.
We want to put trees where it's safe,
That's right. I was just gonna,
Yeah, and that's critical.
state the fact
But
that.
there's a
we
lot
are-
of excess land, it looks like at Long Meadow. And stuff, so.
Yeah.
I
Is
was,
a forest preserve most of it. Yeah.
Mr. Rickard?
Yeah, I was just going to add that we are working with Miss Miller. Mike Way is our primary representative, our superintendent of maintenance, as well as I've been participating. It is our goal to look at opportunities. Quite a few of our federal jobs, we are required to do some matching, either a 1-to-1 or a 1-to-1.5. We've done tree plantings like in the Elburn Forest Preserve and as part of the Bliss Main Fabian project. So there are most of our projects that are federal and state funded. We are doing the tree plantings.
And we've
Mike
started
Wade-
doing our locally funded projects too. We've been mitigating the trees, replacing at a minimum of 1-to-1.
So it is occurring, and thank you for mentioning. I know Morton Arboretum also has, I forget what the program is called within the next month where they're going to talk about trees and we're sending staff to those types of programs to understand it better. We don't have an arborist on board. And we don't plan on getting one, but we do feel like this is important that we're looking at trees and enhancing our landscaping.
And we always meet with the Forest Preserve District when we're mitigating trees to discuss species and locations and
Okay.
what's ideal to plant where.
thank you.
We, just to add one thing, we have an agreement with Forest Reserve to plant about 6,600 new trees in relation to the Long Meadow project from, let's say the north limit of Long Meadow Parkway into the Bruner Family Forest Reserve going up to the Sled Hill.
There was a dearth, this is Caius, sorry. As I recall, there was a dearth of trees at the time, so we actually had to grow our own, right? And so
Yeah, that's the
Should be
plan.
getting close,
We'll be growing our own because we can't just go out and buy that many.
we're contracting now. to grow.
Yes, correct. And then they'll go on Bruner.
Very valid concern, Mr. Roth. Thank you. And it
You're
looks like
welcome.
working on it, so we'll continue to do that.
And thank you for all your feedback.
Yes, it was the same at the Bliss Main Fabian project. We mitigated the 400 trees there at the Elburn Forest Preserve District. So it, as a motorist, you might not always see where the new tree was planted, but
They were.
they were, that's right.
Be good publicity we can gain by doing reports on that occasionally, maybe.
Any other new business comments? If not, I need a motion to adjourn.
Roth will make the motion to
Roth
adjourn.
moves, Dr. Iqbal seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meetings.
Aye.
Thank you.